What is up, everybody? This is going to be a new series on this YouTube channel that will actually be posted in a playlist. Now, this is something I've been wanting to share with you guys for a while, and this is sort of something that has really changed my trading kind of on a pivotal level. So, throughout our trading, we tend to experience pivotal moments. For instance, the first real pivotal moment I've ever had in trading was when I watched a Futures IO video that was interviewing John Grady of No BS Day Trading, and he talked about order flow. That was my first introduction to order flow, and had it not been for that video, this channel wouldn't exist. And honestly, I'm not sure if I would continue to have pursued trading from that point forward. And if I did, it would have gone down a drastically different path, is the way I see it. So there's certain things we come across that really influence us and give us our trading identity. Some things don't have as big of an impact as others. But as of recent, there's something that's been huge for me. And it's so big that it's really made my trading a lot better. Now, this isn't some cool trading strategy. It's not some secret little thing. This is going to take some time for you to learn and develop, much like reading order flow. I tell you that trading is a skill, and it takes a lot of time to develop the skills to be good at this. Now, when it comes to talking to other traders, I don't talk to the entire trading community, but I talk to enough traders that I can get an idea of what traders kind of are experiencing and sort of need guidance in overall as a collective. Like I said, just by kind of communicating with different, very diverse and different traders over the years, I just kind of pieced everything together. And one thing traders really need more of is self-awareness and mindfulness. Now, there's more to it than that. And that's what this new series is going to be about. Now, typically when I talk to my traders about this, I do lose. Some guys tend to check out and they don't listen to my speeches on this mindfulness awareness thing. However, the guys that do are really fascinated by it and really want to do this because they understand that it's very important. When it comes to trading, not only are you dealing with the markets, which is something you're not in control of, all you can really do is just sort of manage it and, kind of flow with it. Now, the one thing you are in control of is your emotions. If you're not in control of yourself, and chances are, the thing is, if you're not in control of yourself, the chances of you being able to trade well are going to go out the window. So this is very important because just not being in tune with yourself, it can really cause big losses. I really believe wholeheartedly that some of my biggest losses and some of my biggest drawdowns are really due to my emotions and me. So if you can work on that and you can sort of eliminate emotion, you're not going to eliminate emotions completely, but if you can really stay on top of everything, that's going to be huge to your bottom line. Your P&L, it'll reflect in your P&L, hands down. Now, you got to think, if you are day trading or scalping, it's a very intensive job. It really is. This isn't easy money, I would say. This is very difficult. Very, very difficult because you have to be able to perform day in, day out. And if you plan on doing this, you're probably going to want to do this for several years, make a career out of it, make a lot of money. I mean, that's kind of why we all got into it. And to be able to kind of stay in your lane emotionally and mentally is very tough to achieve every day. And that is a skill in itself. And not only is this skill going to help you in your trading if you choose to develop it, but it will also help you in everyday life, which is awesome. So this is very important for trading, but it also applies to your normal life and the people you deal with outside of the trading room, because they kind of go hand in hand as far as like this mindfulness thing goes. So throughout this series, I'm going to share with you little things that have helped me that you may want to implement to start to work on these things. Now, the thing about being aware, it's very important. Chances are when you get real pissed and you start trading like shit, you weren't aware that it started off with frustration, or maybe you weren't aware that your heart rate was increasing and it started to slowly build up and snowball from there to the point you became very angry. And if you can develop this awareness, you'll be able to see it before it happens, and you'll be able to stop it before it gets worse, or do something to prevent it from getting worse. It's not really easy to stop these sort of emotions. We're going to dive more into that maybe in a future video. But the reason I have this P&L up, and look guys, there's not going to be any big sexy trades in this series. There might be some examples of for certain things. I know a lot of you guys want to see the trades. You want to see the executions of trades. I know that's pretty much, I asked you guys some time ago what you wanted to see more of. Really, it was all across the board, but for the most part, everybody likes the trade reviews. And that's nice. That's great. But that's not going to help you if you can't get yourself together, which is huge. And I feel this series is going to complement this YouTube channel very nicely, actually. This channel really needs it, and I want to do a lot more of this. This is sort of the stuff I kind of seek out that's really been taking me to the next level. So if you're new, you may not understand this, and you know, maybe you're kind of turned off by this because it's not trades. You know, just come back to it. Come back to it. Now, for those of you who really aren't familiar with any of this, you should hear me out on what I'm talking about, because this could be very eye-opening. I want you guys to think. Those of you who've actually clicked the button and have actually traded, think about the times where your emotions have gotten out of hand. It would be so nice to simply just prevent that from happening, but you can't. And this isn't something you do one time and then you're good. Okay, this is just like practicing executing trades, playbooking setups so you can continue to take those setups. This is kind of going to be a lifelong practice that goes hand in hand with your trading and reviewing your trades. This is something you need to add on top of it if you're actually serious about trading. Now, statistically speaking, I believe it's 95% of retail traders fail. Some guy in my room actually said the percentage is lower, that the success rate is like only 2.6%. I could be completely wrong on it. But if you think about it, 2.6% of traders are able to do this for a living and be consistent. That's a very low percentage. A lot of you guys who are listening to this right now, you're not going to be part of that percentage. You're going to give up at some point, or you're going to blow up an account, or you're just not going to do this. And you're going to fail. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk by any means. I'm just saying that so you can realize something and hopefully a light bulb goes off in your head so that way you can start to practice self-awareness and mindfulness. This is very important. This is important not only for traders, but it's important for athletes as well. If an athlete is pissed off in a game, he's not going to perform as well as he would if he was a lot calmer. This is a pretty hard job, and if you're making this kind of money, you have to put in work for it. If you're going to make the same kind of money that athletes make, if you want to get to the point in your career where you make millions of dollars a year, which is totally possible, or even $200,000 a year would be enough for you, you're going to have to do things like this. There's just no way you're going to be able to do one thing and do it like a machine and cookie cut it and replicate every day. These markets are changing. They're always evolving. The market is nothing like it was last summer. It's a lot less, there's a lot less size per bid and offer than it was a year ago. And these things are constantly changing. You constantly have to adapt and change your strategies. And when that happens, it can create frustration. So this is very, very important. So I want to just help you guys on this front, and this means a lot to me, and this has helped me substantially. Now, excuse me real quick. Okay. So there's a reason I have my P&L up. I want to talk a little bit about my emotions, what kind of set me off, what kind of gets me pissed off. And maybe some of you guys can kind of relate to this. Okay, this was Wednesday, July 8th. Notice how the first several, other than this first trade, all these other trades were either losses or break even. So theoretically, I was down $75 plus a bunch of commissions on these break evens before I hit this $125 win. So it looks like the day kind of started off rough for me, and then it ended up turning around. Now, usually, and this is a full day too. You can see this is at right on the open, and this goes to 2. So the thing about it is, as a scalper, I'm getting to the point where I am taking less trades a day, which is great. But also it is the summertime. But that's kind of just a little thing that I just added. There's no importance to that. Ignore that. Sorry, I kind of went off the rails and ranted a little bit. But the thing is, I'm taking less trades, which is good because I'm becoming a lot more picky about my scalps. Also, this entire week was real tough for me to just hit really good trades, like big fat trades. The previous week before that, I actually picked up my best trade ever, which was, I believe, 42 ticks, which is really good for me as a scalper. And then I had a few 30 tick trades as well. And I'm getting better at hitting these bigger trades, but most of the time for me, it's like this. It's pretty much a struggle to just hit real good trades in general. I would consider this one a nice one, which 14 ticks really isn't that big of a deal. But if you look at it, for the most part, 7 ticks, 2 ticks, 1 tick, 3 ticks, 5 ticks. Really, I wasn't really hitting big trades at all. I was just scalping to hold on for dear life. Now, that's how it usually is for me. And if I'm really in tune with myself, I can manage my way into profits pretty much every day, unless the day is radically different and I can't quite put my finger on the pulse. That does happen every now and then, where it's just a day where I've never quite seen before. But for the most part, I understand the ES, how it behaves, and I can really kind of figure out what I need to do that day just by the way the volume's coming in. So usually for me, it's a fight, basically, almost every day. And then there's a quote that I heard from S&B Capital, and it goes 90, what is it? I'm sorry, I'm trying to think. 10% of the time you will make 90% of your money. There we go. That's what it is. So out of all the trading days you trade, 10% of those days you'll make 90% of your money. And that's true. Most of the time it's going to be pretty difficult to really just be consistent all the time. And once you do, it's kind of like a fight. At least it is for me. And then there's just those days where I'm smacking the fucking trades out of the park. It just doesn't happen every day. And that's reality. So one thing that used to really set me off the rails was a day like this. And I'm going to go through some procedures in future videos, but we're going to keep this video somewhat simple. Like, I'm going to give you something you can do after, at the end of this video, and you can apply it for however long you want. And I highly suggest doing this because it really helped me. But before I get into that, let me kind of finish this. And sorry, guys, I know I'm kind of scatterbraining all over the place right now. So I wanted to become more self-aware, so I went on this journey of doing all these exercises and practices and techniques and meditation and all that. And as I kind of recorded things down throughout the sessions, I started to notice certain patterns. And these patterns are patterns that sort of set me off to trade like shit. And much like good patterns in price, it takes some time to study to find those patterns. And once you find those patterns, you can start to exploit them more and work on them more. You have patterns in the way your emotions sort of flare up in the middle of the trading day. And you need to be able to keep track of these emotions so that way you can kind of self-diagnose yourself, and then you can work on a solution to prevent them from happening. Because your emotions cause you to lose money. And if you can do everything in your power to prevent yourself from losing money, that's going to substantially impact your P&L overall. And that's something that's going to really help you be consistent and make more money, because you're keeping more by preventing these emotions from taking it away, basically. So that's why this is so important. So I would notice that if I hit several break-evens in a row, I would start to hold trades a little bit longer. And as I would hold trades longer, they could be a really good scalp. So maybe I hit 3 or 4 break-evens in a row, and then the next trade I'm up maybe 5 ticks. Well, theoretically, if the market is telling me to take it off right there, I know in the back of my mind that I've hit 4 to 5 break evens. I really need to make up for the commissions on those trades. So therefore, I think I should hold this trade a little bit longer, even though the market is telling me to get out, and I don't do it. And then that ends up becoming a break even or a loser itself. Maybe I just end up wanting to hold it, so I let it hit my stop, which is always set for 5 ticks. And if you're unaware about that, you need to watch an older video. But I try not to let that 5-tick stop get hit. That's an emergency stop, and that's the max I really need for any trade to kind of work out. So that's just something I know that works with my scalping. But if I'm constantly letting my stop get run, I'm going to not be able to do well at trading. So that's why I manage by hand. I mean, I'm kind of going off track, but for those of you who are not aware, I manage my trades by hand. So basically, order flow is my you need to get in or out type thing. And I mean, if you look at this $25 trade, I'm not trying to pick up $25. I was hoping that particular trade would work out a little better, but it didn't, so I took it off. Same with this trade here, 25 bucks, 25 bucks. So, and up here as well. So I'm not trying to hit one tick wins. It's just my entry's not working right away, and as a scalper, if a trade doesn't work relatively soon, I need to get out of it. Otherwise, it may go against me, and it could be pretty violent when it goes against me, and it's just not worth getting stopped out on. So for me, it's really a struggle to really hit a good trade that immediately works. And the way I manage my trades, sometimes I'm picking up 1, 2, 3 tick wins all fucking day long, and then I'm up, $200-300, and that's the difference between letting the stop get hit all the time. Sorry to go off on that, but in case you're not aware. So, if I take a bunch of break-evens, it gets stuck in my head that, oh man, I'm racking up commissions. But the thing about it is, it takes about 3.5 break-evens to equal out a one-tick loss. So you're looking at 3 plus this, plus this. This might be like $16 right here in commissions, all these break-evens. So a one-tick loss is $12.50. So really, it's not that big of a deal. But for some reason, it would get stuck in my head that these break-evens, like these 3 break-evens, are a huge deal for me. And if I'm getting in the next trade, I kind of want it to be a big one. But that's not my strength. My strength is scalping. So I would tend to kind of veer away from my strength if I'm taking too many break-evens at any time in the session. And again, I'm sort of self-sabotaging myself at that point because I'm like, oh, I need to get these commissions back. It's almost like a revenge trade in a sense. So another thing that would really make my trading turn into shit is if I'm immediately kind of down in the day. And if I noticed that I was down in the day, that would bother me for some reason because I hate losing. And I think hating losing is a good thing in trading, but you cannot let that kind of sway the way you trade. You cannot let that impact your emotions, if you will. So if I'm down in the day, and this is a perfect example, really I was down for the day. These 2 trades neutralize each other, so look at that as sort of break-evens. And then this plus this is, so I would be down $75 plus all the commissions on these trades before I hit this $125 win. Usually something like that would bother me because I took so many trades and really struggled before I was able to hit anything decent. And it took me about an hour to hit something decent in this particular example. Normally that would put me into a revenge trading sort of mode. Like, man, I'm not hitting a good trade, so I'm going to just sort of hold the next big trade. Really, this is what, a 5-tick win. I mean, I know it goes against me 6. I'm not sure why I didn't get stopped out on that. And sometimes this MAE and MFE are not accurate on the P&L. That's something I've noticed with Jigsaw over time. So I don't know why I didn't get stopped out on that. I just think maybe the MAE was a little not right because I've been pretty good at not moving stops at all. So, but it's only a 5-tick win. But it took me so much time to finally hit that trade. And normally, again, that would really set me off. So 5 ticks isn't that big of a deal. And usually if I'm up 5 ticks and I'm kind of down for the day with a bunch of break-evens, usually I would go into this, man, I need a big trade to kind of recover and be up. But that's sort of the wrong thinking because there's always a big trade around the corner, and you just need to be okay with that and realize that. Such as this 14 tick win. That was sort of the big one. But it's not that big of a trade. And neither is this 7 tick win. But those trades made the difference. This 7 tick win, this 14 tick win, and this 5 tick win really made the difference for the day. So one thing I do is I don't look at the P&L throughout the day. That kind of helps prevent me from playing scorekeeper, because when you look at the P&L, you're breaking context from the markets. And when you look at the P&L, and I would notice, oh man, I have all these break-evens or I'm down, that would sort of throw me off what I'm really supposed to be focusing on and doing. And then my thinking would change from order flow to P&L to, fuck, that doesn't look so good on the P&L. I need to do something about that. Then I would look back at the order flow, and then my thought process had been influenced and changed by looking at the P&L. Now, in this particular example, I wasn't looking at the P&L. I kind of knew I was down, but I didn't let it bother me. I'm just getting better at that. But let me give you another example of something. So that's an example of something this would normally set me off. And this is an example of how I did not let it influence me, because some days are going to be like this where you're just going to really struggle to hit a good trade. But the thing is, there's always a good one around the corner. Also, I miss a lot of good trades too, so I'm trying to get better at that. But usually something like that would set me off, and I didn't let it set me off. So here's another example. Let me just do one thing here. Let me cut this screen and pull up something here. So this is going to be from Friday of the same week. Which is a lot better than that one day. A lot more trades too. Full session too. But let's focus on right here, this 50 and this 100. On this particular day, I was scaling up. Like, I'm practicing scaling up on better setups. I'm trying to get better at scaling up on better setups, because that actually makes a huge difference as well, instead of kind of trading the same amount of size all across the board. So anytime you see the shift between 2 and 4s, it's not that I'm trying to revenge trade or do something of that nature. I'm strategically scaling up on better setups, more for sure setups, and it really makes a difference. Now, right here, there was a really solid setup being put in play. The problem was this particular day, it's a Friday afternoon. Generally, volume's lower on a Friday afternoon, and the market's just going to trade a little bit different. So when the market's low volume, it's a lot harder for me, because as a scalper, there's a sweet spot I need with volume and volatility. And if it's not in that sweet spot for me, it's a real struggle and fight. But this was like a real solid setup. But due to the fact that there was low volume, it just wasn't happening as quickly as I would hope. So I took this one trade, which I could have broke even on it, and I knew I should have broke even on it, and then it started to go against me, and I didn't manage it. I wasn't managing it as well as I should have. I knew I should have took it off, but I didn't. So my heart rate started to increase, because I know the good setup is still here. And when your heart rate starts to increase, that can cause issues in your trading. And that's something I started to realize. And then I scaled up because I thought this was the setup. But really, since my heart rate was increased, I kind of took a trade in an area that wasn't good. I needed to be a little bit more patient, and this trade ended up hitting my stop. I'm not sure why it's only $100. Now, it didn't hit my stop. That's right. It got pretty fucking, I mean, like I said, the MAE and the MFE are a little inaccurate. But what happened, yeah, I took this off at, Shit, this is a 2-tick loser on 4 contracts. Now that I look at it, I thought I hit the stop. So I kind of actually managed that trade as pretty well too, but this trade was actually taken in an area where I shouldn't have took it. It was a reactive trade, not a planned trade. And I'm going to dive more into that here in just a moment. And then boom, I finally was able to hit the motherfucker real good, and that's where that $300 came up. So as you can see at 235 and 235, these 2 trades were almost back to back. So seeing 2 trades that come in back to back tells me that that second trade was a little too reactive and it wasn't warranted, but I was desperately trying to scout my way into a bigger move, which really kind of didn't happen. Otherwise, this trade would have been a little bigger. And I had to wait 2 minutes before I could finally fucking nail it. And then I nailed it. Not the most impressive trade ever, but it's 6 ticks, whatever. I did manage this one well, which is only a 2-tick loss. But this one I knew I should have cut. And what happened is after these 2 trades came in place, I know that even though I don't look at my P&L anymore, which I highly suggest you should not do, make that your weekly goal. Don't look at the P&L until the end of the day, because you'll be pleasantly surprised, and it's kind of like Christmas morning, because I love looking at my P&L and going, oh shit, I didn't think I did that well. And it's always surprising, and it just feels real good. But it helps because it prevents you from breaking context on what's going on in the markets. So my heart rate was increasing at this time. I became very self-aware of it. And one thing I did was I did a breathing exercise, and we're going to get more into this in another video. It has to do with meditation. So when you have anger or frustration, you can either notice it or you can feed into it. And when you have this burning anger, that's energy. And you can actually use that energy for good. You just need to learn how to sort of control it. So a lot of us notice when anger or frustration is happening, maybe more so anger than frustration, because when we're angry, usually we let it be known. Like, I'm angry at you, or I'm pissed at you because you did this. And that's an example. Maybe for those of you who have wives or girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever, there's times where you have these lover quarrels and you get into arguments and you get real fucking mad at the other person, and you know you're mad, right? But one thing we don't ever really tend to notice is when that anger actually goes away. So one thing I do, and this is what I've been learning through meditation, and again, that's going to be a different video, but this is sort of an example, because a lot of what you're hearing is going to be kind of pieced together. A lot of these techniques and things I'm talking about is like your different order flow tools. You have your depth of market, you have your time in sales, you have your footprint, you have your heat map, right? You have your chart. So all those tools kind of work with each other to help you make good trading decisions, right? So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about in this series are different tools and techniques that need to be put together to create a desired result. So with this meditation, I realized that, I'm starting to get frustrated and worked up. So I'm self-aware. Now, becoming self-aware is what this video is about. I'm going to teach you how to become more self-aware just here in a minute. But I became self-aware. I was getting worked up and my heart rate was increasing. And I became self-aware that I took a reactive trade, which was not planned. This trade should never happened. And it would have been $1,000 day if I didn't take this trade. So I knew I had became reactive. I used self-awareness to see that. And then what you do is when you feel the emotion of frustration, because that's what I started to feel, you look at it. You don't try to make it stop. So when you get angry or frustrated, you don't try to make it stop. That doesn't really work. And I've tried that in the past, and you end up getting more angry or frustrated, or you really truly never get over it. What you do is you kind of look at that anger or frustration from a third person perspective. You look at it like a car passing you on the road. Oh, there goes a red car. So, oh, there's frustration. Oh, there's anger. And you look at that feeling within you from that perspective and you just observe it. That's it. You simply just see it. And what's kind of amazing is when you look at it from that perspective, it tends to sort of just go away. And it goes away relatively quickly. And the more you practice these things, the quicker those feelings, emotions go away. And if you ask me, that is a huge fucking edge in your trading. Because if you're going to do this for a living, you're going to go through these frustrations and these periods of angriness, especially if you're a dude, because males tend to get real fucking... I tend to consider myself more even-keeled, but for a lot of guys, they tend to get worked up real easy and that testosterone's flowing, especially for you young guys in your early 20s. You guys just don't have the life experience to learn that you just need to stay calm, and it takes practice. That's why young guys are usually chosen. Well, for one, they're more physically fit and they're better for like war. But a lot of young guys who used to get drafted, at least here in the U.S. and in the Vietnam War and World War II, a lot of these younger guys have that invincibility attitude, and they kind of got that ego. So you got to work on that. And some guys truly never get through that. And this kind of thing is going to help you throughout your entire life, whether you choose to pursue trading or not. And if you have a good quality of life and you're constantly able to get over these emotions, you're going to be happier. And if you're happier, you're going to trade better. So really, this thing just is so beneficial in so many fucking ways. Another thing I do is sort of visualization or manifestation, which that's going to be a whole different video as well. And it's not going to be lumped with the future meditation video, but manifestation. So what I did was, not only did I become aware of these emotions and just look at it from a third person perspective, but I started to visualize my P&L being green and being up higher in the day than I was after the morning session. Because the morning session stops right here. And I had looked at the P&L and I was up like 600 something. So I envision having a P&L higher than that. And you need to paint a picture in your head of this exact screen right here. That's what I do. Like, I know what this screen looks like because I look at it all the time. And I just pretend that this number is really high. And it works because it makes you feel good. The thing about manifestation or visualization, and I'm just going to touch on this real quickly. If you are always believing, I mean, if you go into this and think you're not going to do good for the day, you're probably not going to do good for the day. The same thing with athletes. They don't go into a game thinking they're going to lose, because then they might actually lose. You need to really believe, and if you are constantly having negative self-talk that you can't do this, you can't figure this out, you're basically manifesting your own fucking hell, basically. Because you're putting these terrible thoughts in your head, which get you worked up, which doesn't get you in a performance state of mind. Whereas if you kind of envision things being good, you visualize, it really helps. And a lot of this is shit S&B Capital preaches. I'm just putting my own twist and spin on it, and I'm showing you guys that I do a lot of what they say. And it works. So I'm going to show you guys how to be more self-aware. And if you watched my 1,000 subscriber video, you kind of seen this thing. So we're going to go ahead and talk about something real simple. This is going to be easy, and there's no reason you guys cannot do this. So this is a this is an emotional temperature check-in. So let me actually pull something up really quickly. Hopefully this fucking, give me just a second, guys. Just a second. I apologize. So, let me get that up. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is real simple. All you need is a pen and paper. And this is from, where's that P&L at? Fuck, what did I do with that? You know what? Don't worry about it. I already have it right here. Okay, here we go. Here it is. Okay, so here's that P&L, same P&L from that particular day. And all this stuff kind of applies. Give me just a second. Okay, here we go. So this is my emotional temperature check-in, and this is from that particular day we just looked at. This is, and I'm going to go over this so you guys can do this. So this may not make sense to you, so let's have it make sense to you. Let's talk about an emotional temperature check. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want an interval timer of some sort. I'll put a link in the description for this, but this is a 10-minute interval timer. You can just look it up on YouTube, but again, I'll put the link in the description. This timer goes off every 10 minutes, and it makes a beep sound. And I wear headphones throughout the session. So when that 10-minute timer interval goes off and makes a beep sound, that's my cue to take my emotional temperature. And when I'm taking my emotional temperature, I start to be more self-aware of my emotions. So being able to control your emotions in trading, you have to have some sort of cue to check in with yourself so that way you can become more self-aware. And that's the point of this timer. That this is your cue to become self-aware. Because it's really easy to go through the trading day and sort of become not self-aware. You can go through the trading day and not realize you're getting more and more pissed. You may not see the signs of frustration. Like maybe you don't see your heart rate increase. And usually when my heart rate increases, it leads to frustration. And then frustration turns into anger. And then anger just goes into me becoming real pissed. So there's been plenty of times throughout my trading career where I just never noticed these things happening. So this is how you kind of are able to become self-aware. You need something that can cue you into, first and foremost, you need something to break your concentration from the markets. And you're going to associate with the beeping that goes off on this every 10 minutes with emotional temperature check-in. And when you associate that, you start to build up a skill of becoming more self-aware, which is the first step to controlling your emotions. Okay? So I know a lot of trading videos and all that shit talk about emotions and psychology, but until you are able to practice and get good at knowing when to become self-aware of your emotions, you're just not going to think about it and shit's going to go rampant. So this is a 10-minute timer interval, and what I do is I press play, let it run. Every 10 minutes it goes off. You can do however many minutes you want. My traders in my room, some of them really like this because sometimes I'll say check-in, and they know what that means. And some of them are actually doing this, and they really like it because they're starting to see the benefit of becoming self-aware. So there are 3 things that you want to check off. You want to know if you're calm or worked up. So are you calm or are you starting to get frustrated? If you're calm, that's good. That's good, right? If you're starting to get worked up, then you're going to start to make bad decisions. The next thing you want to check in with is, are you focused or distracted? if you're focused and you're watching the markets intently, and for a scalper, if I'm watching it tick by tick, that's where I need to be. And if I'm highly focused, I go into something I call flow state, which means I'm just like really in tune with the market. I have my pulse on the market, and I can kind of sense what may happen and what may not work and what may work a lot better. So it's kind of like tapping into my sixth sense, if you will. Now, if you're distracted and you're playing on Facebook or you're surfing the web, that's not good, because maybe you see a sudden move in the market and you chase it, and well, we all know chasing trades doesn't fucking work. It really doesn't, because by the time you get into these things, they always seem to turn around as soon as you get in. It's fucking weird how that works, but that's how it works. And if you're distracted, you're not able to really manage and make good decisions, right? So it's kind of common sense. You need to be focused. So if you check off your focus, that's good. The final thing is planned or reactive. Are you taking planned trades, or are you just taking reactive trades? Is there a sudden move in the market where volume quickly increases and you think, oh, this is the moment, here it goes, and you take a trade and it doesn't work, like chasing a sudden move and then it rolls on you? That's being reactive. Now, being planned is taking a trade that makes a lot of sense to you and kind of has a really good probability of working out. And those are the only types of trades you really need to be taking anyways, because if you're just reactive all the time, you're not going to do well. So you need to be on one side or the other of the spectrum, and obviously being on the left side is good. That means you're checking out well. Your temperature is normal. When you start to veer off to the other side, that's when you need to do something about it. Now, for the sake of this particular video, don't do anything about it. The whole point of this video is just to become aware. That's it. Much like when I noticed myself getting frustrated on that one trade because I was reactive. Remember, I told you that one trade I was reactive on? This one down here, I was very reactive on that, because it happened in the same minute as the previous trade. That's reactive. I don't remember where the fuck I was going. But anyways, so take a notebook, right? And this is very simple. Put a smiley face, a straight face, and a frowny face. Draw a column. So you're going to put 3 X's every 10 minutes. And you can see that this 8:45 was the first 10 minutes. Then at 9:05 was the second 10 minutes. And at 9:18 was the next 10 minutes. Look, you're not going to be able to do this 10-minute check-in every 10 minutes on the dot. Sometimes certain setups are happening and you need to put it on hold. So just be aware of that. Sometimes I hear the beep and I totally forget, and then I have these huge gaps in the temperature check-in, which isn't really that okay. But you want to try to, every time you check off these 3 categories here, you want to put the time. So just make a note of the time, and there's a reason for that, and I'll show you here in just a minute. So am I calm or am I worked up? That's always going to, that's always going to be the top X in this. So this top X applies for me being calm or worked up. Now, if I put it in the middle, that means I'm starting to get worked up, but I'm not quite there yet. And if I have it next to this frowny face, that means I'm very worked up. So as you can see in this particular example, I'm calm. So that's good. So the next X is going to be focused or distracted. So you can see I put focused. So one thing I want you guys to do real quick is pause the video and screenshot this. Pause the video and screenshot this so you can use this template. Anyways, now that you've done that, the second X right here is I was focused. I wasn't distracted. If it was in the middle, that means I'm kind of distracted, but I'm kind of focused. And if it's all the way over here, that means I'm highly distracted. The final X is being planned or reactive, obviously. So in this particular example, I was planned. Now, if you go over to the right a little bit, I checked right here that I was becoming a little more reactive, but I wasn't fully reactive. It would be more so over here if I was fully reactive. And the point of this emotional temperature check-in, you have to be very honest and transparent with yourself. Okay? If you're not focused, you need to put it down that you're not focused. Don't try to use this and try to get good stats all the time. You need to be really open and honest with yourself when you do these check-ins. And all you're going to do for this week is just notice when if you're worked up or not, and just check it down. And the reason you want to notice this stuff, don't do anything about it yet, okay? Spend a week just doing this, okay? Spend a week just doing this. And the reason is you're going to become more self-aware of these things. So you'll start to notice over time that, hey, I'm kind of worked up right now. Or, hey, I'm a little distracted. Because you're doing this exercise over and over every day. So you're starting to build up this skill of being able to notice when something just isn't right within. And that's very powerful because the first step is becoming self-aware, which then we can work on all these other things later. But that is the very first step. So if we look at it, I was good from here, from 8:45 and up, I was good. From 9:05 to 8:45, I was good. From 9:18 to 9:05, I was good on all three. From 9:37 to 9:18, I was good. Now, from 9:54 and up, I was starting to get a little reactive. But I was focused and I was calm, so that was good. Now, I didn't put lunchtime or anything, but there's a huge gap right here. So from whenever I started trading, which would have probably been 10 minutes prior to this 202, I was all good. From 229 to 202, I was all good. Now, again, my emotional temperature check-in isn't going to be every 10 minutes to the dot, because sometimes you need to just, if you're in a trade or managing a trade, you need to just focus on that, and you can forget about the emotional check-in, but you're going to want to get back to it, and don't wait for the next 10 minutes. As soon as you're able to get back in there, I like to pause the timer. I try to pause the timer every 10 minutes and then check everything off. But the problem with pausing the timer is sometimes I forget to press play again, which also causes gaps in these check-ins. So that's just kind of a life hack, I guess you could say. Now, from 240 to 229, I started to, I wasn't calm anymore. I was starting to get a little worked up. So the very simple, everybody has pen and paper, so you can use this template. Now, here's what we're going to do next. What I do is I screenshot my P&L, and this is Google Documents, this is Google Draw. You're going to want to use something like this because you need to have notes and records and things with your trading. So this is Google Documents, and this is the Google Draw. And this template, well, what I do is I'll delete. Let me see here. What I'll do is what I do is I take this and I put it in my journal. So I'll download it and put it in my journal for the day. But, at the end of the day, I'll delete this, and then the next day I save this kind of template, and then I'll put the next day's P&L in. And what I like to do is I take this journal here. So from 8:45 up, I was all good. So typically, if I'm all good, I don't put a yellow box around it, but I'm going to kind of show you what I do here. So where was I actually kind of getting worked up at? So from 954 to 937. So 954. So what I'll do is I'll take this here. So 954. So 944, 937. So this would go up to here. Here we go. So from 954 to 937. So from 937, so this is 935. We don't include that, to 944 because there's no 954. That's 10:03. So I was getting worked up. So, or no, I was being reactive. So I do this a little differently, but since this is kind of your first time doing this, I'll kind of show you an easy way. Because I like to take notes on all my trades, but so I know in here I'm reactive. And the reason I say I'm reactive, even though all the trades were good in here, this trade isn't good. I took my stop off. And that happens every now and then. And that's not okay. Even though it turned into a winner, it was at one point a 9-tick loser, and that's not okay. And I realized I moved my stop and I was starting to become more reactive. This trade initially was no good. I think it immediately went against me. So that's what I'll do is I'll make a note there. And let's see, the next time I'm not good is between 240 and 229. So what I'll do here is I'll take this, copy and paste. So between 240 and 229. So this last trade's at 240 and 229. Yeah. So that means it'll go up to here. And I was worked up. So remember, calm or worked up, focused or distracted, planned or reactive. So I was starting my emoji face told me that I was getting kind of worked up. So what I can do is I can come down here and just type worked up. And that's it. So what the point of doing this right here is what you're doing is you're aligning your emotional temperature check-in, with your P&L. And what you're doing is you're seeing how your emotional temperature, when you start to get worked up, distracted, or reactive, you're starting to see how it affects your P&L. And that's what's really crazy about this, is you're going to learn how your emotions directly affect your P&L. And if you can get that in control, you'll see how, if you eliminate these things, how it'll actually help your bottom line. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, emotional temperature check-in every 10 minutes if you can. That's how I do it. And then you want to put the time in. Just make a note. And you can do this so quickly. This is so fucking easy. There's no reason you shouldn't do this. And this is the first step to taking control of your emotions and being able to fucking trade with this iron fucking mentality. You know what I mean? So every 10 minutes, and then take a picture of your P&L, and if there's a point where you notice you're not that good, use like a box and just kind of box out that 10-minute section and just write if you were reactive or worked up. And just be aware and notice how it affects your P&L. It's crazy, and I've been doing this for a while now, and it's amazing that if I can just take control of myself, these emotions, if I can always be calm, always be focused and always be planned, I'm a fucking world-class trader. I'm a really good trader. Because one of my issues is blowing up the entire week in a day, or taking three, or maybe I do real bad on Monday and it takes me the entire week to just break even. And that's just fucking bullshit, because I'm a good trader. I know I'm a good trader, and if I can eliminate these things that are causing these issues, then I will constantly be a lot more consistent, and my drawdown periods will not be nearly as bad as they get, because there are times when I have a drawdown, they're just horrific, and there's no reason for that. And I'm still a developing trader, guys. Don't think I'm some fucking world-class guy. I'm just like you. I'm still trying to figure this shit out. I've been doing it for a while. I'm a lot further ahead than newer traders, obviously, but you got to put in this kind of work. This is the kind of shit you need to do to be the trader you want to be. So it just look at this. Even though this could have been bad, this could have been a 9-tick loss, and that would have been on 4 fucking contracts right there. So, that could have been worse. I took the stop off. This trade alone on 4 contracts, that could have turned into a 20-tick loss, maybe 15-tick loss. Sometimes that happens. And I know, because that's the one trade I moved my stop. I think this week I only moved my stop twice, which I'm getting better at it. It's a terrible habit I used to have, and I know I have to work on it. That's why in my last video it was on my weekly goal, which weekly goals are important. But that could have blown the fucking day up. Even though it looks good, that could have blown the fucking day up. And had I not got reactive, had I not got slightly worked up, I was actually reactive on this trade. Had I not started to get worked up, this trade would have never happened. So I would have been up $1,000. That's the difference. That's the difference in keeping your emotions in check. Doing this trade up here and this one down here, that could have just fucked the entire day. So that's how important this is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you are looking forward to this series. If there's anything you guys want to know more about on the emotional, psychological level, and you have a question, maybe I can do a future video on that. Have a good one.